Welcome to the Go Big and Go Home show. My name's Dustin Hill, and I'm here to help you discover and stick to your dreams while deepening the connections with those you love. Hey, it's Dustin Hill, host of the Go Big and Go Home show. Welcome back. Super excited to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And thanks for all your support. And today I wanted to share an interview from the Summer Survival Summit. It's from Elizabeth Sautter, and she's an author and an educator and doing a lot of things, especially in the social emotional learning aspect of children, which is really cool. And there's a lot of great things that she talked about. But in this part, I asked her about like, how do you go big and go home in your life? And the one thing that I want to just share a quick story on is, so back, this was, I guess it was like 5 years ago. So we went to Disneyland and we're there with the kids. And so at the time we had two kids, Miley and Taysom was just like 18 months or 2 years. And so I just like for him, it wasn't like he could really do a ton, right? He couldn't do a ton, sit in the stroller a lot of the day. But I remember we went by and we were in Cars Land, right? And we go by, there's all the souvenir shops and everything. And you have all the toys inside the store, outside the store. And I remember, we were walking by and there was this Lightning McQueen, right? It was like, it's like the red, but then there's also some water on it and just this kind of light blue or ice. I don't even know, but it was a pretty cool car. And I remember, we got that for him. And this was, later in the day. And I just remember like we went to some ride and then some of us were just waiting there. And so I was like just playing with Taysom and he had his car there and he was just like sliding it down the hill, this little kind of ramp area that we were on. And so, it was just going down and he just loved it and he had so much fun. And so I was just down there on the ground playing with him and he just was loving it and I was loving it. And just like, I remember that night and after, even the trip, I was just thinking about like one of the highlights for me was just sitting there playing with that car with Taysom. And, and so you think like all the amazing things that, the cool rides and the fun treats and the other things that, we got to do there was like super fun. But again, that highlight of just sitting there with my son and doing something that he wanted to do, right? Like that was something that he really wanted. The other rides, some of them we couldn't do, and maybe just didn't really care that much about it, right? But in this case, he had this car and that was something he wanted to do. And Elizabeth goes into that a little bit in the interview about, doing things that our kids love, and I think that that's something that, it's important for us to really be able to connect with our kids, and for me, like, as far as kind of going big and going home, that's something that if you really think about, like trying to block out the time and be really efficient with what you're doing, right? You're getting up early, you're getting things done like on your passion project or your business so that you can eventually leave your 9 to 5. You're working hard during your 9 to 5. And then your, dinner time is super special. You're spending time with the kids. And you're like very deliberate about the things that you're doing. And making sure to really increase the quality of time that you're spending because we've all had those instances where we've been, with the kids, but we're not really there, or someone else, like imagine the last time that happened to you, that you sat down at a table, there's, someone that one of your friends or family, and you're trying to talk to them and they're on their phone, right? And they keep looking up and they're like, yeah, okay. But the conversation is just not really there, right? You just know that like you don't even necessarily want to talk that much because you're just not exactly sure if they're even listening or if they're, really going to respond and do that. And so, it's so awesome when we can really focus on what we're doing. It's like, hey, look, we're spending time with the kids right now. We're doing something that they love and making that really impactful and positive. And then you can focus on the other things as well when it's the right time, right? And it does make such a difference. And so I just want to leave that with you real quick. And then we'll also roll this interview as well so that you can learn from that and learn from Elizabeth. And so thank you so much again for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the interview and we'll see you next time. And I'm really curious to ask you about, how you've been able to go big, in your business and in your career, but also do the same thing at home. Like what's been kind of your secret to doing that, actually, going big in both places?
That's a great question. Okay, so I think that what comes to my mind for going big, go home is for my professional world is just I have ideas and things that I see that are missing in our field of parenting and social emotional learning. And I just sort of take action on making them happen. And one of them is this course and community. There's a lot out there for us as professionals to get trained, and I'm one of those trainers. I provide, training on curriculum and all sorts of things. And I feel like, as parents, like you mentioned, we can make a huge change. It's a ripple effect, and we are our kids' number one social emotional teacher.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like, there's no guidebook for parenting in general, but especially if you have a child with additional needs that struggles with social emotional executive functioning. So doing that was, kind of pivoting and making this accessible for parents in need. So that was my go big, most recent thing,
Cool.
I think. And then for my kids, it's been a lot of, I wouldn't say this is a big thing. It's a little thing that has a big impact.
Cool.
Which is trying to make time for them and follow their interests. My kids I have 2 teenage boys, 13 and 16, and they're very different in their personalities. And so it takes like a mindset shift every time I spend one-on-one time with each one of them. But I've really been trying to figure out what it is that lights each one of them up, and spend that special time with them. So my younger son is really into sports, and he can't do any of that right now. So he's actually been battling some depression, and he can't really, he tends to be a little bit on the half empty negative bias. So we're working on that, his mindset and positive self-talk, but just trying to find those things. So I actually, we couldn't really do a cooking class, but we found he does love to cook. And so we're working on trying to develop a business. He loves business and money too. So trying to figure out things that he can do for the family, just us cooking together, or also potentially he loves making bread. So he could make some bread for neighbors and talk about dropping it off and things like that. So just trying to follow their interests and stay super connected is my small thing that is a big thing overall.
Yeah, it's kind of like a piggy bank. You deposit a little bit every day, and then you have this, first of all, a great relationship with them, which is really important. But then you're able to, really, be that, guide to them as well. But it's like, if you don't have that relationship, it's kind of hard to do that. And so I think that's a great suggestion. I was just thinking about my buddy that he's, 6'8", I think. He played basketball and just awesome, and stuff like that. And I asked him about his son, oh, is he going to play basketball? I was like, oh, well, he likes baseball, so we'll see, but I was I thought he kind of encouraged him, but no, he's like, no, I want him to do what he loves. And so it's fun. So it's just great. But hey, it's Dustin, and I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. And I also hope that you're already subscribed. If not, what are you waiting for? Go subscribe, rate, and review. That'll make sure that you get this content as soon as it comes out. And also make sure to share with your friends and family so that they can go big and go home just like you.